Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Our today's topic is factors determining price elastic demand. You see, these factors determine the price elastic demand. Number one is nature of commodity. Ordinarily, necessaries like salt, matchbox, textbooks, seasonal vegetables, etc., have less than unitary elastic demand or inelastic demand. And luxuries like air conditioner, costly furniture, etc., have greater than unitary elastic demand. The reason being that change in their prices has a great effect on their demand. Comforts like milk, cooler, fans, etc., have neither very elastic nor very inelastic demand. And jointly demanded goods like car and petrol, pen and ink, etc., have ordinarily inelastic demand. For example, For example, rise in price of petrol will not reduce its demand if the demand for cars has not decreased. And the second factor is availability of substitutes. You see, demand for those commodities which have substitutes. For example, tea has its substitute in coffee, orange juice has its substitute in lime juice. So they are relatively more elastic. The demand for those commodities which have substitutes are relatively more elastic. The reason being that when the price of the commodity falls in relation to its substitutes, the consumers will go in for it, and so its demand will increase. And commodities having no substitutes like cigarettes, liquor, etc., have inelastic demand. And third one is different use of commodity. You see, commodities that can be put to a variety of uses have elastic demand. For instance, electricity has multiple uses. It's used for lighting, room heating, air conditioning, cooking, etc. If the tariffs of electricity increases, its use will be restricted to important purposes like lighting. It will be withdrawn from less important uses. On the other hand, if the commodity such as paper has only a few uses, its demand is likely to be inelastic. Number four is postponement of the use. You see, demands will be elastic for those commodities whose consumption can be postponed. For instance, demand for constructing a house can be postponed. As a result, demand for bricks, cement, sand, etc., will be elastic. Conversely, goods whose demand cannot be postponed, their demand will be inelastic. And the fifth one is income of consumer. You see, people whose income are very high or very low, their demand will ordinarily be inelastic because rise or fall in price will have little effect on their demand. Conversely, middle income groups will have elastic demand. And the sixth one is habit of consumer. See, goods to which a person becomes accustomed or habitual will have an elastic demand like cigarette, coffee, tobacco, etc. It's so because a person cannot do without them. And the seventh is proportion of income spent on a commodity. You see, goods on which a consumer spends a very small proportion. Goods on which a consumer spends a very small proportion of his income. Goods on which a consumer spends a very small proportion of his income. Example, uh, toothpaste, newspaper, needles, etc. will have an inelastic demand. It will have an inelastic demand. On the other hand, goods on which the consumer spends a large proportion of his income, for example, clothes, scooter, etc., their demand will be elastic. Their demand will be elastic. And the eighth one is eighth factor which determine price elastic demand is price level. You see, elasticity of demand also depends upon the level of price of the concerned commodity. Elastic demand will be high at higher level of the price of the commodity and low at the lower level of the price. And the ninth factor determining price elastic demand is time period. See, demand is inelastic in short period but elastic in long period. And it's so because in the long run a consumer can change his habits more conveniently than in the short period. So these are the factors which determine the price elasticity of demand. Thank you very much.